Hi friends, visit this URL, scroll down and download the source code from here. Open the edit.py file. In that you can once you run this code, you will be presented with the 10 records, but each record now will have a edit button at the right side, so you can click any one. So once you click it, the bottom, you can edit this, the edit will be available. You can remove that or change any figure here. 57, you can make it 59 and click the update button. Once you update it, the data will be updated here and it will be a fresh data will be shown here. We'll see how this code works. We'll work inside our edit.py file. Here first we have to connect to MySQL database. You can see here we have our user ID, password and localhost, or if it is different you can change it, and my tutorial is our DB name. So here it is. Now in the part 1 we have seen how we have used this and displayed all the records, all the rows or 10 rows, whatever it is. You can read that our part 1 and the display plot. Now from that display we'll add the edit part to this. So you can just, let's run this and see how this looks. You can check here. See, this is our 10 records we are displaying here. Now this is each record data we have used one label to display it here. Now to the right of it we'll add one button to so user can click and use the go for editing that particular record. Now let's, here the basic thing first we'll do is we'll put all the things inside right from the query inside a function. We'll call it as display function. So we'll say define it diff display. Why we are using this is we can call anytime. So anytime this function we can call and refresh the window. That is the purpose we are keeping it inside a function. So we have to push it towards right a bit. Okay. Now here we will see, you can see this is a change here. We have declared global I, and here we are also telling I equal to, before that we'll say global I. Why we are doing this, we'll explain that one, because we want the rows to start at the end. We'll see when you go for the edit one. So here also we have to mention this one more, here one more step. Now this is okay. This is the inside the function, this will be I will be added, and that's all. So this is, now we have kept it inside a display function. Now we'll get a blank window because we have not called it. Let's try whether our indentation and all are okay or not. Yeah, it's a blank window. Now what, to display the data, what you have to do is inside this, come to the main area and write display. Sorry. So this is where you will be using calling the display function and display the data. So sorry, 15, one record only. Why? Because I value where you are taking display global I 0 to 10, I equal to 0, I plus plus, sorry, this I plus for student in my cursor J. Every time the row will get the value of I. This should move one step, I think. Yeah. Now let me save it and run it again. Yeah, we have got all the 10 records, because we are incrementing I value at the end of each row. So here, before we increment this, we will add one button here. Because it is not for all the values, but here it will be, because this is outside the for loop. The J for loop will write one row of data. At the end we will be adding one button. So what we will say, we'll say E equal to tk dot button. My window is my parent window, my W. I am giving width equal to 5. Then text is whatever text I want to write it here. I am writing edit. Now I'll say some I am giving some layout to this. So relief means the edges, how it will be. Let's say now I'll just go to next line and say this you can change it also whatever way you want. This is towards it will be aligned towards west or left side. Now the command will carry the data to, or is row ID. So we are lambda, and we'll say k equal to student 0. Student 0 contains the ID of the student. So this variable will pass on. So we'll say edit data. This is the function name where it will be, and to that function we are passing the value of k here. We will close this. So we missed, okay, this one we missed from here. We'll say here, okay, and end we missed one comma, that's why the error. So now this is okay. This edit data we have not so far not declared, so we can just come out of this one and push here. Sorry, here we can say edit data. So we'll say edit data, and we'll receiving the record. So here, so we'll put a receiving this SID or student ID will receive. So I will say this and pass. Let's test up to this point how far the buttons are displayed. Sorry, we are not given the grid option here, that's why it is not displaying. We'll say here E dot will come out to the top. We'll say E dot grid here, because grid, now row equal to I, because that is at the same button label we have to maintain, so it's the same row I will maintain. And column is directly we are giving 5, because we know the J value will continue up to 4, so this is the right of it. So E grid will be 5. Now let's save this and run once. So yeah, you can see all the edit buttons have come. Now this, once I click this edit button, this edit data will be executed. So it is not defined. It is saying okay, we'll see that. So far it is okay. We are able to place the buttons. Before we start working inside the edit function, let's just correct this. This is E. Okay, so inside this, first we'll access the value of I. So I holds our global I. The I holds our row number. So it's the last row number. Suppose it's 10 records. So it starts from 0, and here the value will be 9, and after increment it will be 10. So that value will take, because the edit row whatever one we want just below our listing. So first we'll do that. Now next we'll go to, after those, now let's go for database access. Now my connection is our connection string. We have already worked on this. So execute now the query. Select star from students, student where ID equal to our parameterized query will use %s. Now here we'll give our ID value. So this ID is what we receive here as a parameter. So that ID we are bringing it to here. Now we got the executed the SQL. Now we'll say we'll get the data. Now we know it's a single one, so we'll use fetch one. So this is a tuple. Now S is the tuple which contains the 5 data for the 5 columns, that is ID, name, mark, class and gender. So these 5, for holding those 5 data, we have to present this to the user to edit it. So for that purpose we'll declare some string variables. So we'll say that first start with e1 dot strid, this equal to tk dot string var. Now this is our parent window. So this is the string variable we are holding. So e1 strid is the, sorry, not dot here, underscore. Okay, now this is holds the ID value. Similarly, let me just paste it. After ID it is the name, and we'll give it connected to the, because I am giving the names as E1, E2 like that, because we'll connect it to respective entry widgets. So 5 entry box will create, so that there we will be using it. So next one will be E3. Now str after ID, name, then class, fine. Now E4, E3, E4 after class it is mark. Now next, the last E1, E2, E3, E4, E5 I am taking. This is a gender. So these are the string variables I have declared. Now we'll pass the data, or this string variables hold our data. So whatever we got it from our database now. So we'll say e1 strid dot set. What it will say s0. So this s0 is the tuple value here at line number 25. This s0 is the id. So I am assigning that string variable the value of id. Now same thing, what I will do, I will just copy it, paste it 5 times. So I will change now e2 str. The e2 is, for me it is name. So here it is 1. So name will come here. Now here it will be 2. So here e3 str, after name it is class. So for there are 5 columns, so I have to do like this 5 times. e4 str, after class it is mark. So mark is my tuple where element number is 3. Now after e4, let me come to e5. Now e5 str gender. Here it is 4. So now all my string variables I have set now. Now these string variables I will assign it to a input entry buttons or entry boxes. So first I will write it one entry box as give it as e1 dot e1 equal to tk dot entry. Now this is the entry, my w. Now I will put text variable. Sorry, it is text variable equal to, now the first one whatever I will just read it from the top. You can see it here. Okay, e1 underscore strid. So now it is connected to that. Now another thing, I will just restrict the width of it. Width equal to, let's say 10. Now here for this particular one I will add one option here, that I will add it later. Let me just e1, now I'll place it in the grid row equal to I. So this I value, global I value, I am taking it. So column equal to 0, because this starts from the first one. This is the first. Here I will, let me just copy this one. I will do one more thing. I'll give it a different background, bz equal to yellow. So let me just copy up to this point, save it once. Let's just see how it looks. Now here it is. Suppose I am clicking on edit button, you can see this one has come up with the ID has taken here, but I don't want user to change the ID. So I have just copied this, but I will disable this. So what I will say state equal to disabled. So now user cannot change it. Why I am not allowing user to change? Because that is the reference I will use with the where clause while updating. So that ID must be common and user should not able to change it. Now the next is name. I just pasted it, copied the one, but I am not going to use the disable here. So I will e2. Now I will say e2 here. Text variable is e2 str. My this thing is name. Rest everything same. Column I will add 1. Now e3 or entry box 3. Now e3 text variable e3 is my str after id, name, then class. Rest same. Column is 2. Now fourth one, e1, e2, e3. Here I will say e3. Now here I will say e4. Now again here the grid is e4. Now e4 text variable is after class, it is mark, and this is e4, and column is 3. Now the last one is e5. Now text variable is here after e4, it is e5, it is gender, and call here I will grid also e5 grid row I, column is 4. So all the entries are available for edit, and first one is not available for edit, but it is disabled. Now I will place the button. I will say b2. Now b2 equal to tk dot button. Now button parent window my w. Now text. You can write anything. I am just writing update. Now the most important thing is command. What it will do? Command now is equal to lambda. Now what the function name I will give is my update. So far I have not defined it, but I am using it. Now slightly I will add some style to it. Relief equal to reads. Relief equal to reads here. Slightly the edges will be different. Now anchor equal to W. So you can change it. It is west aligned. Now I am just resting it its width to 5. You can change it if you want. Now comes the important that where it will be placed. It will place to the right of the column 4. So it should be column 5. So I must say grid. Now I will say row equal to I, column equal to 5. So that's all. Once it is clicked my update, so I have not defined it. Now let me define my update. I am not putting anything now. We'll see that. Now let's first check how so far how it looks and how it works. Now let me run this. Yes. So let's tick this edit. I clicked. Okay, it's slightly shifted this update one. Okay, fine. You can see this is I am not unable to adjust this because it will not allow me because it's disabled, this ID field. Other things I can change it. I can change to 85 to 87 and click the update button. Now nothing will happen, and we will slightly instead of update upd I am writing. You can change that also slightly, otherwise width you can increase. Now let's check once again. Okay, fine. So here it is, all the details are coming. I can click the update button, so whatever data I am entering, that will be updated. We'll see next that. We'll start working inside our my update function. Let's remove this. First we'll collect the data. Now this data is from is a tuple we'll create. Data equal to, inside this e2 the string variables what we are. First I am starting with name and get. Why not from the ID? Because ID is will be using in a where condition, so at the end it will come. Now e2, then e3, e3 str class now dot get. Now e4 is mark dot get. Now e4, then e5 gender now dot get. Now this string variable data we are just collecting inside the tuple data. Now the last one is actually the ID, so we'll say e1 strid dot get. So our data tuple is ready. Now this data tuple will use it in our update query. How we will update it? We'll say now id equal to my connection. My connection is our connection string. At the top we have already declared. Execute. Now we'll say update student. Student is our table name. Set name equal to. Now here we are using parameter query. So this sequence and this sequence has to match. So name first one. So first one you can see, that's why you have used the name. Str name equal to this. Now class equal to, we'll say again percentage s. Now we'll continue our line. We'll come to next line. So class is over. Now mark equal to again percentage s, gender equal to again percentage s. Now we'll say where id equal to percentage s. Now this is over, we'll put data. Okay, so this is, you can see the same sequence we have maintained here. So name, class, mark, gender, then id. So name, class, mark, gender, and then id. So now if this is executed successfully, then we can this we are printing to the console, but you can print it to the MSX box or anything. Now you can say row updated. How many rows are updated? You can just say that id dot row count. This id is here. This id you have used here, that we are telling how many with this execution how many rows are. So it must be one only. So for that reason you can verify it, because this will be printed on the console. If you want, you can take it up also. So what's the, okay, this should not be here, this should be here. Fine. So print is over. Now what happened? Now one important thing, once this updation is done, we will remove the edit row. That edit row should go. So we'll say for w in my window dot grid slaves. For this is slaves, and in the bracket I, because this is the row number what we are using. So the I is carries the row, and it is the last row we want to delete, not the previous row. So I, that's why always everywhere the global variable we have declared, and that what I are using. Sorry, here I have to, now here I will say w greet forget. Now what happens is, this will one by one widget it will remove from the last line or ith line. Now I holds the our that edit row. That's all. So here you can see our end we are getting. Okay, one more thing here. Once this is removed, inside this we'll call once the display, because after this here we'll say display, because we need to refresh the window. That is why the purpose why we are putting everything inside our the display, all the data while displaying we kept it inside the function. Now calling it again means again we are taking a fresh data that will reflect our changes. Now let's test it. So we'll, yes, so 8, now 85. Now I will just say edit this 85, let's make it 90. See, we are not doing a validation here, because the data you just take, you can add that part to it also. So you should not enter string here, data should be less than or equal to 100, all this. So you remember for id 8, this is the id 8, we have given it mark 90. Something has gone wrong. Name, class, mark, gender, background error is some set name, class. Here I have missed one. Name, class, here I think one comma I have to give here. Fine. Okay, let's save it and run again. Now let me go to another here. Okay, this 81 I am making it 99. Now let's update. Grid for, oh sorry, one more mistake, grid forget, but it's updation, up to updation it has worked probably. Okay, let's run it once more. Edit. Now its row ID is 8. I am making it 99 and updating it. You can see row ID, it is 99. Now this one will edit the name part. We'll say we'll add a 2 at the end. So ID is 10. Just remember it is ID is 10. So the 2 has come. Every time after updation, this row is vanishing because we are use this line 56 and 57. Then we are calling display again. So the entire data is refreshed and a fresh set of data of 10 records are taken. At the top we have declared how many records are to be taken, so that you can change it if you want 5 records. I will automatically adjust it because I is up to the first group of data it will display. The next line will be for edit. Once more you can just see this here. In this case the I value takes the next row. So I is the globally, that's why we have declared it as a global variable. So that's all. If you have any doubt or any queries or any suggestion, use the comment section below to post it. This has become too long. Next we'll see how we'll delete that row. But we can click a delete, but this time while deleting it we'll ask a confirmation message for the to the user, are you sure to delete it or not, and then we'll delete the record. That we'll see in the next. So post your comments, your suggestions, your feedbacks, everything, and please subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon so you'll get all the notifications. And thank you for watching.